The distress beacon pulsed from Sector Vex 9, a planet we called the Grinder because, well, nothing survived there for long. Nothing. The wildlife alone could strip a combat mech to bolts in under 3 minutes. And yet, somehow, some idiot human had crashed there 2 weeks ago. Point 2. Whole. Weeks. I'm Krell, Senior Scout for the Galactic Rescue Initiative, and I've seen a lot of stupid in my career. But this was legendary stupid. My partner, Voss, a four-armed Threnic with more muscle than sense, kept muttering prayers to his ancestors as we descended through the toxic cloud layer. Krell, the skin shows. Well, it shows something impossible, Voss said, his voice crackling through the calm. What now? Did the human spontaneously evolve wings? I checked my tactical display. Wait, is that a structure? Affirmative. Approximately 40 meters from the crash site. Made of? I don't even know. Local materials? The readings are bizarre. We touched down in a clearing that shouldn't exist. The vegetation here was trampled, burned, and arranged in patterns. Defensive patterns. My scanner went berserk the moment I stepped onto the moss, which was weird because the moss on this planet usually dissolved organic matter on contact. Except this moss was dead. All of it, in a perfect circle. Okay, that's creepy, Voss whispered, which was hilarious because Voss once punched a meteor. Then we saw it. The camp. Or, more accurately, the fortress. Some lunatic had taken wreckage from their ship, combined it with bones, big bones, the kind that belonged to apex predators, and created something that looked like it belonged in a museum of war crimes. Spikes jutted out at angles that made my eyes hurt. Strange symbols were carved into every surface. And was that a moat? That's a moat, I confirmed. Filled with something that's smoking. Krell, I want to go home. We have a job to do, Voss. Find the human, drag their corpse back, collect payment, and never speak of this again. But then we heard it. Music. Actual, honest-to-stars music drifting from inside the fortress. Not the refined symphonies of the core worlds. No, this was loud, aggressive, and had something called a guitar, making sounds that should be illegal. A voice called out. Female, rough around the edges and way too cheerful for someone stranded on a death planet. You boys going to stand there all day, or are you coming in? The door's around the left. Mind the spikes. And the trap. Actually, maybe just shout, and I'll come get you. Voss looked at me. I looked at Voss. A human emerged from the structure, covered in mud, blood that definitely wasn't hers, and wearing armor that appeared to be made from. Wait, was that a Raxor shell? Those things were classified as extinction-level threats. Name's Jules Martinez, she said, grinning like we were old friends meeting for lunch. You guys are late. I sent that beacon out 14 days ago. You're alive, I said, which was possibly the dumbest thing I'd ever said in my entire career. Well, yeah. She laughed, actually laughed, and gestured at her fortress. Made myself at home. This planet's got personality. Deadly personality, but still. You hungry? I've got stew. Stew, Voss repeated, his voice hollow. Caught a fang stalker yesterday. Tricky bastard tried to eat me while I was fixing the water filtration. So I ate him instead. Fair's fair, right? She wiped her hands on pants that had seen better decades. Come on, don't be shy. I haven't had real conversation in 2 weeks. You know how boring it gets talking to yourself. I slowly scanned the perimeter. Scorch marks. Claw marks the size of my torso. And beyond the moat, in the shadows of the purple-black trees, eyes. Dozens of them. Watching. Waiting, not attacking. Why aren't they attacking? I asked. Jules followed my gaze and shrugged. Oh, them? We have an understanding. I don't go into their territory, they don't come into mine. Well, most of them don't. Some of them needed convincing. She patted something hanging from her belt. It looked like a tooth. A really, really big tooth. You convinced them, Voss said flatly. Negotiation's an art form, buddy. Sometimes you negotiate with words. Sometimes you negotiate with explosives and a sharp stick. Depends on the audience. She stretched, joints popping. Anyway, extraction, right? About time. My ship's core is toast, and I'm running low on coffee. Do you know what it's like rationing coffee on a hell planet? It's actual torture. You've been here 2 weeks, I said slowly, trying to process everything. On the deadliest documented planet in this sector. And you're worried about coffee. Priorities, Krell. She somehow knew my name. Probably read it off my uniform. Humans were weirdly observant like that. So, we leaving now? Or do you want the grand tour? I've got a garden growing in the back. Mutated the local fungus with some earth seeds I had in my emergency kit. The tomatoes are aggressive, but they taste amazing. Aggressive? Tomatoes, this was my life now. Voss made a sound like a dying engine. We need to leave. Now. Immediately. This planet has a 98% fatality rate within 72 hours. Jules raised an eyebrow. Huh. Guess I'm in the 2% club then. Cool, cool. She grabbed a pack that looked like it had been through a shredder and patched back together with attitude. Let me just grab my stuff. Oh, and we should probably leave before dark. That's when the really fun things come out. The really fun things. I regretted asking immediately. Yeah, the night wings. They're these bat-scorpion hybrid-looking nightmares that hunt in packs of 50. We've got about 2 hours before sunset. She said this the way someone might mention a light drizzle. They tried getting into my camp on day 4. Lost 3 of them to my perimeter defenses before they decided I wasn't worth the trouble. She'd killed 3 Nightwings. 3. The galactic military used orbital bombardment on Nightwing nests because fighting them conventionally was considered suicide. How did you even survive the first night? Voss asked, genuine confusion in his voice. Honestly, spite. Jules locked up her fortress with a series of mechanisms that looked both primitive and ingenious. Also training. And a healthy respect for the food chain. And maybe a little bit of crazy. My psych eval was borderline, but they cleared me for deep space anyway. Guess they figured crazy helps out here. She wasn't wrong that we started moving toward our ship, Jules chatting the entire way like we were on a nature hike, instead of crossing a landscape that wanted us dead. She pointed out various flora and fauna, explaining which ones were poisonous, which ones were territorial, and which ones tasted like chicken if you cooked them right. That's a spine crawler, she said, indicating something that looked like an angry bush with teeth. Don't touch it. It'll inject you with paralytic venom, then slowly digest you over 3 days while you're still conscious. I call that one Gerald. We have an understanding. You named it. I was having trouble keeping up with human logic. Sure. Once you name something, it's harder for it to murder you. Psychology, Krell. Keep up. That's when the ground started shaking. Jules stopped mid-step, cocking her head like a predator catching a scent. Oh no. What oh no? I hate, oh no. Voss powered up his plasma rifle. That's a ground hammer. Big territorial guy. Really big. Like, stupid big. I've been avoiding his feeding grounds, but I think our ship landing pissed him off. The trees ahead exploded outward, and something that defied biology emerged. It was reptilian, mammalian, and absolutely furious. Easily 15 meters tall, with crushing mandibles and armor plating that made our ship's hull look flimsy. Weapons free, I shouted, opening fire. My plasma bolts hit its armor and fizzled out like sparklers. Voss's rifle, rated to punch through reinforced bunkers, left scorch marks. Just scorch marks, Jules sighed. Okay, so fun fact. The armor's basically impervious to energy weapons. You need kinetic force. She unslung something from her back. It looked like she'd built a crossbow using ship parts, bone, and pure audacity. Also, you need to aim for the soft tissue under the jaw. That's the only weak spot. You fought this thing before. Voss screamed as we ran. Fought. Nah. Observed. Documented. Made detailed notes. You know, survivor stuff. She stopped running, planted her feet, and took aim. Hey, ugly. Remember me? The ground hammer roared, a sound that made my internal organs vibrate uncomfortably. It charged, each footfall registering on the seismic sensors. Jules waited. The thing was 50 meters away. 40. 30. 20. Jules. I yelled. I know what I'm doing. 10 meters. She fired. The bolt, makeshift and ridiculous, flew true and buried itself in the soft tissue beneath the creature's jaw. The ground hammer stumbled, confused, then enraged. It swiped at Jules, who rolled aside with grace that suggested this wasn't her first dance with death. Little help here, boys. Voss and I concentrated our fire on the wound, finally finding soft tissue. The creature thrashed, howled, and then retreated back into the tree line. Deciding we weren't worth the effort, we stood there, breathing hard, while Jules calmly retrieved her bolt from where it had fallen. See? Negotiation. We communicated that eating us would be more trouble than it's worth. He understood. Relationship maintained. You're insane, Voss wheezed. Little bit, yeah. She grinned, wild and alive in a way that made me understand why humans were simultaneously terrifying and impressive. But I'm alive and sane. That's the best kind. We made it to the ship without further incident, though I counted at least 17 different predators tracking our movements. They kept their distance. They'd learned as we lifted off. Jules pressed her face against the viewport, watching the grinder shrink below us. You know, I'm almost going to miss it. Planet tried really hard to kill me. Gotta respect that kind of commitment. You're never allowed near frontier planets again, I muttered, plotting our jump coordinates. Where's the fun in that? She settled into a seat, still grinning. Besides, I've got great stories now. Wait till I tell you about the time I used fungus wine to negotiate a temporary truce with a pack of razor cats. That was day 9. Good times. Voss looked at me. I looked at Voss. Humans, man. They were absolutely impossible, and apparently, completely unkillable. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.